Reports from beyond the stars. Mira, Augustus, Giorgio Schmidt remarks with a grin at his ex-wife and her husband. Giorgio, Claudia. Mira greets him cordially. All right, enough awkward stuff. Let's motor, Richard remarks, all but pushing them into the room. His half-brother is more than a little gregarious and had been requested, mostly because he had been the one to really pick up the slack in the midst of Giorgio's and Mira's divorce. The awkwardness is gone mostly, but the important thing is Gregory. The emails and phone calls from camp had been hurried but mostly portrayed in all right enough time. Something about a nickname as well. All right, just a heads up. He's part of a team, and part of his message was recorded with the entire team, including 3 aliens that they've taken on as part of their team. So this is going to be technically classified for the next few months as the brass figure out exactly what's forbidden and what's not. Make sense? Can we still have the contact number for getting a copy of this once things are settled with who's allowed to know what? Mira asks, and the receptionist nods. Of course. Also, I've read the details around Pukey and his team. You must be very proud. Pukey? Giorgio asks as Richard snorts in amusement. What's so funny? It's the nickname he earned in training camp. Apparently he kept it, Richard says. He did, as did every member of his team. Almost everyone who's been out of cruel space envies him. Hell, I kinda envy him. He's been through a lot, but came out of it like an absolute champion, the receptionist says. What do you mean by a lot? Mira demands. You'll see pretty quick. The receptionist assures them and all but pushes them into the room before snickering and closing the door. Because that wasn't at all ominous, Richard says with a raised eyebrow and an impudent smirk. All 5 of them quickly get comfortable and the projector activates to show Gregory looking to his left with his right side turned to the camera. His hands are in his pockets and there's a stern look on his face. Captain Gregory Pukey Schmidt of the Chainbreaker at your service, he says with a smile as he turns to the camera to reveal a long scar over his left eye that's now not only clearly prosthetic but glowing pale blue. He then pulls his hands out of his pocket and slips off his jacket to reveal that he's in a sleeveless shirt to expose his cybernetic left arm that's half hologram, half digital projector. Lost this to a praying mantis woman while escaping slavers. I got her life in return, he says, tapping his cyborg eye, and it thunks audibly as he does so. This I lost to a 6-armed snake woman called a Desert Nagasha with a plasma sword. This one to be specific. Gregory continues as he pulls a metal cylinder off his belt and ignites it into a blade of pure light. He then spins it and catches the blade with the hard light hand. Richard just starts cackling at this point. Needless to say, I got myself some upgrades, like this. Gregory then crouches down and comes back up with his left arm merging with what looks like a cannon. He turns it to the side and a pulse of sheer light erupts from it, which really brings out the pure distilled crazy in his smile. I'm having a lot of fun. I'm the captain of the Chainbreaker and commanding officer of a team of crack bounty hunters. Our basic goals are to not only find interesting things out in the galaxy to look at, but also to spread as good a reputation for humanity as possible. I'm fairly sure that shouldn't be classified as a PR mission isn't exactly high security. Gregory then scratches his nose before chuckling. But don't you worry about me in this big galaxy. Here it comes, the receptionist says, poking his head in with a shit-eating grin. The camera flickers and Richard bursts out laughing and applauding at the sight of Gregory and 10 other men, one of them an alien teenager with a snake tail instead of legs. For we are men, they declare as one in galactic trade with a bouncing ball style sing-along begins. They flex to the left, showing off that the teenage snake boy with the vaguely visible 4-pack is easily the least defined and frailest of the lot, with most of them easily having been chiseled from marble if they hadn't outright stepped off the cover of a Harlequin romance. They flex to the right. Men! Men! They switch sides back and forth 3 more times, shouting men each time. Fearless breakers of chains, we will crush all those who gain their life through crime, Gregory sings out as the camera focuses on his face with emphasis on his eyes. Richard outright falls out of his chair as he struggles to suppress his laughter. Men! 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 The switching flexes back as the chorus as everyone stares, some in awe, others in shock, and the receptionist is quietly dying as he leans against the wall. No matter what cruelties you inflict. The snake boy begins flexing his cybernetic fingers and letting his hair fall to the side to reveal horrific scars just behind the veil and a cybernetic eye. Everyone has moved into a pose with their arms crossed to really emphasize their huge muscles. And while he looks positively puny next to the humans around him, the effect makes him almost as adorable as they are macho. You won't get away with it, one of the 2 absolutely massive black men states. This one has a bowler hat on and a dazzling smile. For we are men, 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 men. The flex-off happens again, and the camera pans over all of them with their massively bulging arms, including Gregory's holographic one. There is no foe who cannot be bested. The Latino-looking one begins. Once again, they're standing tall with their arms crossed. Nor any strength that cannot be tested. The Arabic one finishes for him. So let us face them, as the snake boy starts to lead. Men! 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 The flex is real and happening again as Augustus, Claudia, Giorgio, and Mira try and fail to fully process what they're seeing. Richard has regained control of himself and is watching with an approving eye. Whether they run or hide. One of the men, this one with fine boned features, their capture is as sure as the tides. One with slightly rounder features calls out. For we are... An Asian-looking man leads in. Men! 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 They begin their flexing, but now a pair of pink and red-colored hands are literally grabbing at Gregory's belt, and then the video cuts off just as a black and yellow blur shows up aiming right for the Latino man. It's once again Gregory, but this time he's sitting in a chair and grinning impertinently as a tiny reptilian woman with enormous breasts and an even larger rear glares at him. So, our little recording session for possible advertisement was crashed and has been deemed too steamy for mass distribution. A pity. Pity nothing. You crazy apes will drown entire worlds in their own lust with that kind of madness. The tiny reptilian woman protests. Don't think I can't see you're squirming. Just thinking about the video is making you eager, isn't it? He asks with a huge grin. Well, she begins and he picks her up. Excuse us, Gregory says, and the video jumps to show a rumpled-looking Gregory with a huge grin on his face. That was Cindy, my sweet little surgeon of love that hooked me up with high-end prosthetics she'd been fiddling with in her spare time when I was down an eye and arm. If not for her, I would have been recaptured and probably still in chains to this day. She's not a fighter, but she doesn't have to be. She's a streetwise cyber surgeon and a beacon of good sense and civility. And today's good sense is that you don't show anyone that crazy video. Cindy scolds him and he just grins. It's just a basic beefcake show. There's nastier, beefier, and better all over the place on Earth. Gregory protests in galactic trade. I don't want to hear about your planet of porn. You weren't complaining when you climbed me like a damn tree near the end of the song. Yes, because expecting me to be calm when there are 10 sweaty, bulging walls of muscle and man in front of me is reasonable. Cindy protests, climbing up to look Gregory straight in the eyes as he grins. Not counting Scaly, he was there too. He teases her and she looks affronted. Don't be gross. She smacks his shoulder. He's our adoptive son. I will never be so desperate as to try my own child, blood or not. Right, on to more wholesome bits. I'm recording a message for my family. Say hi, Cindy. Hi, Cindy, she says, turning to the camera with a cute wave before turning right back to Gregory. Now really, Gregory, that joke was absolutely foul, and I have half a mind to hunt down the nearest bar of soap and wash that filth clean out of your mouth. All right then, Gregory says with his eyebrows up, but please, introduce yourself to my family. Are you really going to use all this? Cindy demands in shock. A formal introduction will just seem utterly false and not give a solid look into what's going on. A sterile slice of the galaxy doesn't show them anything but lies. Letting them know that we're in a loving relationship, even though I can occasionally drive you nuts, is far, far better than some formal introduction where you're effectively reading off a teleprompter. Not to mention, it's also more amusing to make a video this way. I want them to watch and rewatch this and have a smile knowing that I'm not only doing well, but I'm having a blast doing it. Gregory answers and she shakes her head before hopping down into his lap and cuddling close. You're lucky you're so cute, you crazy man, Cindy says to him before glancing at the camera and suddenly becoming shy and somewhat hiding in his jacket. Where did this come from? Gregory asks her gently. What if they don't like me? You've saved my life, offered me nothing but love and good sense, and have stayed by my side through madness and strangeness. If they don't like you, then they can screw off. Gregory answers and she pokes out of his jacket to nuzzle against him. And I meant it too. She was there when I needed help the most. She gave me the strength to keep moving and fighting while behind enemy lines and offered me the tools and resources to steal an impossible victory from the jaws of an inevitable defeat. Gregory explains. I've been advised to not show the video of our meeting, mostly because it's not only very violent but can give the wrong impression on much of the galaxy at large. What happened to me is fairly rare. Thankfully, if it wasn't, then no one would be safe anywhere. Cindy says softly. You think we should introduce them to our son? He's already got a kid with her. How fast do these aliens move? Mira demands in shock and disgust. That's a wonderful idea, Gregory says, standing up, and the video skips obviously with the snake boy, now covered up properly in a large sweater that he's swimming in, sitting next to Gregory as Cindy sits on his lap and openly comforts the serpent child. Meet Slethern, my adoptive son. He's a Great Plains Nagasha. We call him Scaly because we physically cannot pronounce his name properly. I just butchered it, Gregory says. Although, to be fair, he's sort of everyone's son if I'm being honest. Please stop. Slethern mutters into his sweater, and Gregory chuckles. There's nothing to be ashamed of. You're fine. You brought out that video. I don't know how you convinced me it was a good idea, but I'm never doing anything like that again. Slethern mutters and Gregory shakes his head. In a few years, if not a few months, you're going to look back on that and laugh so hard it will hurt. You say that about everything you have me do, including all the exercise. It's important to exercise. Even if you never hit the field, your mind lives in your body. Take care of your body and you take care of your mind. He's right, Cindy adds, and Slethern just mutters to himself as he shrinks into his shirt. So yay. I've got a well-paying, interesting job, a loving wife, and a sulky teen kid. I'm pretty sure I've skipped a few steps, but I think I've knocked it out of the park, Gregory says with a chuckle. You're such a weirdo, Cindy says, and Gregory chuckles. Maybe, but you love it. Yay, she admits, and Gregory offers a salute to the camera with his organic hand, and the movie is over. Well, that was a thing, Richard says with an enormous grin on his face. Hey, Mira stammers out. He distracted us from the fact that he's been badly injured with a literal song and dance, and then a complete change of the subject. Giorgio notes before heaving a sigh. I was not fooled, however. He has been grievously hurt. The loss of an arm at the shoulder or one's eye being slashed out are immense. He's not the only one hurt. Did you notice the snake kid? All his fingers are fake, but the thumbs were left alone. He's also got a shit ton of scars under the hair and a robo-eye of his own, Richard says. It would be wise to remember that despite everything we have been told about the galaxy, they have not hidden the dangers. They've simply not brought attention to them. Augustus remarks. It's not like it's any worse than what's on Earth, Claudia says before thinking. We still, unfortunately, have slavers and monsters and lunatics of our own. Why would it be different beyond our little piece of the galaxy? Very fair, my dear. Very fair. Giorgio remarks as he stands, then offers his hand to help her up. Hopefully we can get a copy of this soon so I can baffle my co-workers.